Touchdown! Duke! Woo! We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our ever-growing channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. This is a rapid reaction live show. Duke has shocked the college football world and has put Clemson down. Duke just scored again when we were coming on live. It's 28-7. 28-7. First of all, I apologize. Let me put this out on Twitter. Things are going crazy in the studios. Give me one more second. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Stephen McNeely's in the house. Red Legs is in the house. The golden age of Clemson football is officially over. AMAC, howdy. Ted Evans. Wow, Clemson looked bad. Randy Taylor, West Virginia guy. Who's ready for the craziest college football season since 2007? Richard L. Holy cow. Wasn't even watching. Looks like Clemson has started a down cycle. Chapman, it sure does. We've been talking about it here in the offseason. We believe Clemson was slipping. We couldn't believe the ACC media had Clemson number 1 and Florida State number 2. It made no sense to us. AMAC's in the house. Tony, Tough Tony, is in the house. Holy smokes. Ted Evans is saying it, holy smokes. Christopher Shannon, Joe Z, those ACC refs aren't bailing out Clemson this year. They're going to get the USC treatment those Pac-12 gave us last year. Well, Clemson's not out of the conference yet. It could be years before Clemson get out. Yeah, there goes my voice. No question about it. DJ Ungo Angale was not the problem, I guess. Evil Badger. Jeff Olson's in the house. Thanks for coming on in, Mr. Olson. the late night theater, no question about it. Jesse Wilson, it's over. It's over. It's all over. Duke just scored again. Wow, we're watching the end of this game. Duke has shocked the college football world. Duke has shocked the college football world. Let's just take a quick look at what's been going on in this game. Look at that. Duke 28, Clemson 7. Now look at Riley Leonard's statistics. If you've been watching this game from bell to bell, so to speak, Riley Leonard has played a much better game than the statistics show. He's been getting rushed by the great Clemson front seven. Clemson just fumbled it again. But Riley Leonard, a great touchdown run, throwing the key third down passes, 17 of 33, 175 yards, 8 carries for 98 yards, and that one long touchdown run at the start of the third quarter. And Duke has never looked back. Duke has never looked back. Jordan Waters, 63 yards. Jalen Calhoun, the best offensive player for Duke, had 5 catches for 32 yards, but he had an off game. Duke is winning this game. When Calhoun had an off game, he had a crucial fumble in a punt return that basically gave Clemson their points. Klubnik just sacked again. The ball is rolling to the 50-yard line. It rolls out of bounds. So Calhoun had some drop passes. He had a key penalty. So Duke wins this game without their best offensive player having a good game. And what's going on with Clemson? Klubnik, 26 of 40. Only 205 yards. 40 attempts. 40 passing attempts. And only 205 yards. They have nobody on the wide receiver room that posed any threat to the defense. They didn't. And by the way, did you see Klubnik's throws in this game? When they did heave it downfield, ugly. It looked like a wounded duck every time he attempted it. But they don't have anybody that can take the cap off the defense anyways. They do not have a star receiver on the team. Garrett Riley, the new offensive coordinator, has so much work to do. Will Shipley's a stud. We know that. Maffa is a great RB too. We talked about that in the offseason. Shipley, 114 yards. Maffa, 65 yards. Klubnik have ran the ball 12 times. Turnovers. 2 fumbles in the red zone for Clemson. They get out of bounds. Shipley once again. They fumbled the game away. We're going to go. We're going to open up. We're going to open up the phone lines right now. I'm hoping that Lewis, our legendary PATC caller, part of the PATC community from day one, Mr. Duke Blue Devil himself, calls in. I think he might be at the game. Didn't he say he was going to be at this game? I'm not sure. He said he was going to be at this game, or he was going to go to a game later this year. But Lewis, if you are up, please give us a call. The phone lines are now open. The phone lines are now open. It is Duke Blue Devils ball. 1:51. Now get a load of this. The last time the Duke Blue Devils defeated a top 10 team was 1989. Steve Spurrier's last year as Clemson's head coach. The Duke Blue Devils, out of the last 28 games since 1989 playing against the top 10 team, is 0-28. 0-28. Holy smokes. Give us a call. Give us your reaction. 763-260-1333. Red Lake says Duke might score again. Clinton Moses. DJ once hit it. He liked Oregon State for having no egos in the locker room. Very interesting. Very interesting. Wow, a top 10 team loses by more than 21 to an unranked team. Jesse Wilson. Now, the fans are up at the sideline. They're ready to rush the field. They are ready to rush the field, and I don't blame them. Mike Elko. Let me run through this here real quick. Again, give us a call, anybody. 763-260-1333. The phone lines are open. Give us your rapid reaction to what this historic victory for the Duke Blue Devils. Mike Elko, the head coach of the Duke Blue Devils, started his career at Stony Brook, linebacker coach. Penn, defensive back coach. 2001, he was the defensive coordinator of the Merchant Marines. 2022 to 2023, he was a linebacker coach from Fordham. In 2004 to 2005, he was the linebacker coach for Richmond. From 2006 to 2008, he was the defensive back, linebacker coach for Hofstra. From 2009 to 2013, he was a linebacker coach for Bowling Green. From 2014 to 2016, he was the defensive coordinator of Wake Forest. 2017, he spent 1 year as the defensive coordinator of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. In 2018 to 2021, he was a defensive coordinator of Texas A&M. Last year was his first year as the head coach of the Duke Blue Devils, and they won 9 football games. They start the year, Clemson, 12.5-point underdogs. PATC, we took the Duke Blue Devils in this game. We talked about it for the last couple weeks. We felt that Clemson was going to be played too close to the vest. They have no outside juice in the wide receiver room. Wow. Unbelievable. The goalposts are coming down. That's the question. That's the question from AMAC. And there they go. They've done it. The Duke Blue Devils have done it. Oh my goodness. College football, baby. Dabo Swinney goes down to the Duke Blue Devils. Let's take a look. Here at the Duke Blue Devils football schedule going forward. They defeated Clemson. They play Lafayette next Saturday. This coming up Saturday. Then they play Northwestern. First 3 games are at home. Then they go on the road against UConn. They could be easily 4-0. As they go home to play the Notre Dame Fighting Irish at home in Durham, North Carolina. Notre Dame, where Mike Elko was the defensive coordinator in 2017. And then they're at home again against North Carolina State. Then they got to go on the road. At Florida State, October 21st. At Louisville, October 28th. Back home against Wake Forest. On the road at North Carolina. So they're at North Carolina. They're at Florida State. They're at Louisville in October and early November. That's one hell of a schedule. That's one hell of a difficult schedule. Let's take a look at Clemson. They're going to Charleston Southern, Florida Atlantic, then at home against Florida State Seminoles. This Clemson team can't beat the Seminoles. Not this Seminoles team. Then they go play on the road to Syracuse, at home Wake Forest, away to Miami of Florida, away to North Carolina State, and at home against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, at home against Georgia Tech, home against North Carolina, and away against South Carolina. You're looking at a 9-3, 8-4 Clemson team very, very easily. Ladies and gentlemen, we've gone over Mike Elko's career. We've gone over the stats of the game. We've gone over the football schedules. I want to hear from you all. I want to hear from you, our Carson. Thank God I stopped betting on college football week 1. Carson, thank you for your super chat. I appreciate it. Greg is banged up. Matthew Owen, yes, I am. Come on in. Give us a call. 763-260-1333. Give us a call. This is Rapid Reaction. Duke defeats Clemson. Shocks the college football world. Medea, Greg, where are you? Honey, I'm in the studio. That's how I'm doing the show. She saw me getting all excited as we were watching the game. The clock ticking, tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. Duke kept playing, making plays over and over again. And when Clemson fumbled once again in the red zone, it was off the chart. This could actually hurt Florida State. They're going to have to run the table to make it to the playoff. That's a good point. That's a possibility.
Call from
Crab Cakes and Football.
Crab Cakes and Football. Mr. Maryland Terrapin is on the line. The floor is yours. What do you think about your old ACC mates? What do you think about the Duke Blue Devils shocking and beating Clemson?
Okay. First, I'm a truck driver, so I've been working tonight, and I couldn't watch anything. So I stop at one of my stops. I look at the score. I had to put my glasses on because I was like, I know I'm seeing double vision. So I put my glasses on, and I'm like, okay. Then I saw in the notifications that you was on, and I'm like, yep, it's true. Clemson lost. So I am so happy. I cannot stand Clemson. I don't like Dabo Swinney. I don't like Clemson. I do like their fans. They got very nice fans because I've been to one of their games before when Maryland played them. But as for Dabo Swinney and that, I cannot stand that part of Clemson. So yeah, I'm glad for Duke. I mean, I can't stand them in basketball, but this is football. I'm okay with it. You know, let them ride the wave, man. Let them ride the wave. There's a couple Clemson red zone fumbles. Duke made play after play. Duke made some mistakes as well. But Riley Leonard, man, he's a tough dude. He's an athlete. He made tough plays. Clemson pass rush, of course, is real. The front seven is real. But everything else about Clemson this year is not real. And that became very evident watching this game. Well, I mean, there's nothing you can do to replace confidence. Once a team starts getting confident that they can beat somebody, that's almost like an additional 3 to 7 points, or maybe not quite 7, but 3 to 5 points right there, swing on the board, because confidence means a lot. So when Duke started sniffing it, from what I can tell, they just hit the gas, no brakes. And they were like, you know, we may have lucked into it in the beginning, but now let's just put the points up. So that's the way, I mean, like I said, I didn't see the game. Yeah. So I'm just going by what I'm being told and from what I hear. But, man, I'm glad Clemson lost. Yeah. Because I always thought they were overrated in the beginning of the year. I mean, I knew they were going to be a decent team, but I didn't know if they were ranked number 9. Yeah, they were. And I didn't think TCU was ranked where they were at because of everything they lost. Yeah. And they just happened to be the 2 losers this week. So it's kind of like, so yeah. All right, man.
Appreciate the call.
Hey. Oh, yeah. Have a good one.
You got it. All right, the phone lines are back open. Whoop. Call coming in.
Call from
I didn't get the name. Who are you, sir? Oh, someone hung up on me. Richard L., get yourself some hot tea and honey for that throat. Thank you, Richard L. Mr. Colorado Buffalo in the chat. My voice is coming back. I've had 55 years of yelling and screaming and singing, so the voice usually pops up pretty quickly.
Call from.
What's going on, man?
All right, who is this on the line?
What's going on, man?
What a game! Did you watch the game? Who is this?
This is Q from South Carolina.
Ooh, okay. What's going on?
I'm a big South Carolina Gamecock fan, man. It's good to see this.
Yeah. Wow. This is. I mean, Clemson, 2 fumbles in the red zone. Klubnik threw the ball like a wounded duck. They have no outside threat. South Carolina Gamecocks, you got to be licking your chops. Last game of the season. What are you thinking?
I'm feeling, I'm feeling like a lot better, like especially after like the game that we had.
Yeah.
So I mean like now I'm just like seeing like Clemson now, and they are not the favorites right now. They are definitely not the favorites. Like I say, it's Florida State. You got Duke up there. You can put Notre Dame in there. You can even put Syracuse in there now. So, and then Clemson's probably in the middle of the pack. But that's just me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, PATC, we had all through the offseason, our 4 teams to make the college football playoffs. Now, this is just week 1, so we're taking overreaction to a whole new level tonight, right? We're taking it to a whole new stupid level. But I took Florida State, Penn State, Washington, and Georgia. Florida State is much the better team than Clemson.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
All right. Appreciate the call. Thank you so very much. Gamecock gave us a call. Gamecocks gave us a call. We're looking for a Duke Blue Devil call. We're looking for Lewis. If Lewis is out there, PATC legendary caller. He's our Mr. Blue Devil out in the channel, but he's quiet right now. He might have went to the game. I remember us talking about it here on a live show. So, but anyways, anybody can call, talk about this historic night. Again, the Duke Blue Devils, the last 28 games against a top 10 opponent, they're 0-28. The last time Duke beat a top 10 team was 1989 against Steve Spurrier. Unbelievable. Mike Elko they won 9 games last year. We talked about it. We said this Duke team could win another 9 games this year. They had a tough schedule. But they already took out Clemson, so they could do it again. Maybe they get a double-digit win season. Who knows? Riley Leonard, again, please, don't just look at the stats. The stats don't look very impressive. But you knew he was going to get hounded. You knew that Clemson still has that big-time front 7. You knew Riley Leonard was going to run for his life constantly, and exactly what he did. But he made the throws that he had to. He scrambled about. He kept his head on a swivel, and he got the job done. And Clemson, the weaknesses are so apparent to everybody now. We talked about it. Their wide receiver room is as weak as a top 10 team you would ever see. Will Shipley, Maffa, they have really good running backs. We figured when we took Duke plus 12.5, it was because we thought Clemson was going to keep it close to the vest. We don't think they can flip on a switch and bring in all of Garrett Riley's offense in one season. We knew the wide receiver room was weak. We figured Clemson would chew out a victory. No way did I predict Duke to win this football game. Wasn't happening. I definitely did not say it. I definitely did not believe it. But I'm a believer now. I am a believer now in Mike Elko and Duke. And their best player, Jalen Calhoun, he's their best player, guys and gals. He didn't even have a good game. He didn't even have a good game. He will have some good games going forward. He's the real deal, Holyfield. So, the Clemson dynasty comes to an end. NE starts to come to an end. How are you telling me your entire front was 5-star players and you couldn't stop 3 stars? Their front 7 did play good. They played good. They're trying to take down this big-time athlete in Riley Leonard. Their front 7 wasn't the problem. Their wide receivers, the running backs out of the backfield were bobbling balls. The last interception was a tip. The running back couldn't grab it in. DW2CB Clemson is an elite empire with no clothes. Clemson is an elite empire with no clothes. Thank you for the super chat. DW2CB. The little general has just walked in.
Joey say you need that.
Honey, cinnamon, in another Cloak and Dagger cup.
I did it.
She did it. She did it. She's saving me. Holy cow. Hold on. Oh, woo! Woo! This is rapid reaction. PAT style. We had to do it. We had to do it. Quentin McGinnis, I'm the South Carolina fan who called, hey man, keep up the good hard work. You're really good at inspiring the YouTuber that can really help a lot of people in the right direction. Quentin, thank you so much. Please call again. You are Mr. Gamecock in PATC community. I appreciate you, sir. Thank you so very, very much. Bazoo, we knew their DB room was going to be weak. The DL could only do so much. Linebacker, I don't know either. But you're right. You're right. The DB room was weak. Man, Clemson, what happened? What happened to your development of your players? You're still getting those high recruiting classes, but they're not popping. They are not popping. What happened? Look, Clemson's offense has been struggling over the last few years. And the thought was, and I think it's true, I think people had it right. Their offense was too simplistic. There was no pre-snap movement. The packages, everybody in the ACC started figuring out what Dabo Swinney was running. It was just too simplistic. Yes, I get it. They still had very good offenses because they have great talent. I'm just saying they did not get enough out of the juice that they have in the orange. So they brought in a Garrett Riley. And that was a good move. But man, they don't have the skill level. They don't have the talent, or it's not developed.
Call from
JD,
Mr. Florida State Seminole is on the line. Holy smokes. The floor is yours. Not only the floor is yours, the whole pathway to the ACC championship and to the college football playoffs is yours. JD, what is your reaction tonight?
well, congratulations to Duke, and
Yes.
I'm going to try not to make this call about Florida State because I'm long-winded when it comes to my
Yeah,
notes.
that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. This is rapid reaction, man. Give me your heart. Give me your heart.
No bias here. You have to give Dabo credit. He's built a really good program. Now, he took over an existing program that already had talent, okay? But then he did, over a period of years, take them to another level. But what was the common denominator there? He had coordinators that he could rely upon. Okay? I had this theory that it's very rare that elite head coaches aren't coordinators. So you don't have many CEO head coaches. Yeah, they might be CEO head coaches now, but at some point they were coordinators. Right now, Dabo seems a little lost. Okay, he can't seem to reel it in on the offense.
Yes, sir.
And that's where I'm not going to necessarily say his downfall but you can see they're slipping.
Yeah.
They're slipping, and he can't reel it back in. Now, he's a competitor like every other one of these guys out there, and you're not going to go see him resigning or retiring in the next year or so. He's going to keep trying to turn this around.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Riley may work out. He might. I mean, he did wonders at TCU.
Yes, sir.
I mean, TCU didn't have them. Now, they had a good roster last year, but Sonny Dykes is a good coach, but they were successful because of Garrett Riley. I mean, that was apparent, Mm-hmm. And anyway, so it's going to be really interesting to see if Dabo can get a hold. I mean, they'll still have a winning record. Heck, they might still win 10 games. Hopefully they don't win in 2 weeks. I actually initially I wasn't too thrilled that they were losing tonight because I started looking at FSU's schedule. We didn't play a great game last night, and we still won. We didn't play good in the first half. We played hard.
Yeah.
We played really hard.
Yeah.
But we didn't play a good game. I mean, Keon Coleman, as good a game as he had, you know what he graded out? His PFF grade was 67.
I just don't. I don't understand some of those PFF grades though. But
yes, sir. Offensive line graded out pretty good. I mean,
you guys were going against so much speed in that first half. LSU was bringing it in that first half, but you guys kept, they just couldn't keep up with you.
Well, what happened is Jimbo used to always say this when reporters would ask him, well, why didn't this work, or why didn't that work, and he always had a good comeback. He's like, those kids are on the other team. They're on scholarship too.
Yes, sir.
They want to win too. They're good players too. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they just win. LSU came out in the first half. They shot their shot, and they were doing everything. Now, then, the difference was FSU. Remember how we talked last week about FSU had a lot of different offensive line options?
Yeah.
Well, they changed. After those 2 series, they mixed it up again, and then after that, LSU had a hard time stopping.
Yeah.
But also, Jordan Travis got a little rattled, and he settled down. But anyway, so getting back to Duke, I mean, that's just a gutsy performance, and sometimes you just need a lucky game. I'm not saying they didn't deserve to win.
Yeah, I get it.
But when breaks come your way, you got to take them. Yeah. Take them, because it happens. How many times do you see a team out there that gets is +3 in the turnover margin and doesn't take advantage of it? Well, good teams take advantage of it.
Yeah.
And Duke is a good team now, and that's great to see. I looked on our schedule. We play them. I'm glad, because I really started getting concerned looking at the schedule, and I'm like, oh, man, our strength of schedule. I already knew it was going to be a little weak.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, Clemson loses. What if there's 5 or 6? Well, there won't be 5 or 6 undefeated teams, but what if there are 5 undefeated conference champions?
Yeah.
What if we get,
Yeah.
And football's a funny game. We could play a bad game. Jordan Travis could go out hurt, and we might lose a game. But you just hope for the best, and you just prepare for the worst. And I like where we are. I like where we're going, but I'm not going to shed a tear for Clemson, though. I'm just not.
Yeah.
It's now that I realize we play. I wasn't thinking we played Duke. Now that I realize we play Duke, oh no, I really hope we take out some frustration in a few weeks.
Yeah.
10 years ago, 2013, we went into Death Valley, and Clemson was supposed to they were favored to win, and we just drubbed them from the start. And I hope we have a repeat because,
Yeah.
as Noles, we feel like we rule the ACC, and it's time to take our mantle back. And
Yeah.
I like that Norvell, last year he was wearing the gray hoodie. Yesterday he was wearing all black, and that's perfect for the revenge tour, don't you think? But anyway,
Wow.
That's just me. But I'm excited. I really am. But
All
Duke
right, man.
surprised me. They really did.
Yes, that was we had them to cover. We did not have them to win. We thought maybe Clemson was just grind it out, but those 2 fumbles in the red zone and all those, they just couldn't put it together at all. But
No,
I appreciate your call, and JD, Mr. Seminole, appreciate it, man.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
You have a good one. Now, phone lines are open, 763-260-1333. Give me your rapid reaction on the Duke Blue Devils. Shocking. The college football world taking out Clemson. The first win against a top 10 team since 1989. And I have a plea. PATC is making a plea to the AP voters because the new poll is coming out tomorrow, Tuesday. Do not have Clemson ranked ahead of Duke. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't even think about it. Be clear-minded. If you're going to have Clemson ranked, then you have to have Duke ranked. And Duke has to be ahead of Clemson. The final score was 28-7. That's our plea. Now, when that poll gets released tomorrow, we're going to be doing a rapid reaction. It's going to be on an episode 301 or 302 here at Peek Around the Corner, so keep an eye on for it. But if Duke is not ranked ahead of Clemson, PATC is going to be writing a letter to each and every AP voter out there who screwed it up. So that's our plea. You have to make sure, AP voters, that Duke is rated ahead of Clemson. If Duke is rated at all, they better be ahead of Clemson. That's all I got to say. 28-7. 28-7. Redleg says Clemson is not a blue blood. Jason says Clemson losing is good for the soul. Billy Tuesdays says Duke will not be rated ahead of Clemson. I'm afraid you're correct. But Clemson should not be ahead of Duke. They just shouldn't be. Why? The rankings should be on what you've done and what you are projected to do. But you have to lower Clemson's projections down somewhat, and you've got to raise the Duke Blue Devils up. The Duke Blue Devils beat Clemson 28-7. Clemson should not be, can't be ranked ahead of the Duke Blue Devils. Will Clemson drop out of the top 25? Will they go from 9 to 26? Yeah. They should be out of the top 25. They've got a tough front four defensive line. Klubnik's a tough kid, but he's not uber talented. He hasn't shown it yet. Of course, this was his very first start, so he has time to develop. But a lot of those passes downfield were wounded ducks to receivers that could not get open downfield. Yes, they could do the wheel routes. They could do some crossing patterns in the middle of the field. They could get some separation, but they couldn't go downfield at all. Look at Klubnik, 40 attempts for like 205 yards. It was dink and dink and dink, and then Klubnik running for his life. Why should Clemson be ranked in the top 25? Especially if Duke is not ranked in the top 25. Yes, Clemson has plenty of time to play themselves back in. They play Florida State in a couple weeks. But out of the top 25, they should go. Losing 21 points to the Duke Blue Devils. Jerry Jones, Mr. Buckeye, agrees. Jesse Wilson, Washington jumps to 8. Billy Tuesday, Clemson shouldn't be ranked ahead, but they will. WDW2CB says Duke 25, Clemson 26. How low does Clemson and LSU fall? I don't think LSU is going to fall that much. I would say I would put them at about 13, 14, but they'll probably show up at 11, probably, right? 10 or 11. That's how I got it. The loss against Florida State, that was two heavyweights throwing haymakers at each other, and Florida State nipped them. Nipped LSU in the chin, and LSU couldn't recover. Totally different game than what happened tonight, in my opinion.
Call from
Lewis.
Lewis is on the line. Ladies and gentlemen, PATC legend, Mr. Blue Devil himself. I was hoping you were going to call. Lewis, you got to be walking on the top of the clouds. What's going on in your heart? Give us your heart. What is going on tonight?
Well, I felt good about this about 14 hours ago. I read the Clemson tweeter, Larry Williams, talking about what a big game Clemson was going to have in a few weeks against Florida State. And College game day was going to be there. And I'm thinking to myself, and I even commented, it sounds like nobody at Clemson is really focused on Duke. And that's clearly the case. Clemson was not ready for this game. Duke was. Duke didn't play a perfect game. And I admit Clemson gave away a lot of turnovers. And it's the kind of game, when you know that Clemson has better athletes, it's the kind of game you dream of. When you have the underdog team, that the other team commits those turnovers they were caused. But at the end of the day, Clemson was not ready to play. This Duke team nearly played for the ACC championship last year. There was some bad calls in the Carolina game last year really cost them. Not a lot of attention was to it because it was on ACC Network. But this is a good team. Duke hired a good coach, a great coach. I mean,
Yes,
a great
sir.
hire. I don't know how long we're going to keep him. Probably be gone at the end of this year, unfortunately. But it shows that with the right personnel and making right decisions in the portal, you can have success. And this team has success. Riley Leonard looked really good tonight, and just very happy to see this happen because remember, it was half Clemson there tonight. Duke does not have a big fan base that shows up for the games, and I have my 50-yard line seats that I bought when nobody was interested in buying tickets for the Notre Dame game, so I'll be down there in a few weeks to see the big Duke-Notre Dame game, and hey, if both teams win, it could be a very big game, but now Duke just has to take care of things. But a tremendous victory, and one that but it wasn't overnight. Last year, Duke had a very solid season, didn't get a lot of attention for it. A lot of people dismissed it, but I think tonight we saw that this team can play, and that with the right players you can do it. It's a very happy and proud Duke alum. I've seen that the team has had so many winless seasons in the last 30 years. I think we had 3 or 4 offers. Yeah. And so to have that, and then Cutcliffe had success, and he leveled off and then tailed off to bring in a coach and bring this program back. This level is very good, and it's a big loss for Clemson. You just don't see Clemson come out and play that poorly that often, but they did tonight. It's a big win and quite a weekend in football. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season.
Calhoun, your best offensive threat. Didn't even have a good game.
No.
And Duke won this game.
No, and when he gave up that the fumble in the first half, which that was Clemson's only touchdown, I'm thinking when the other team's more talented, because I have plenty of experience, be it Duke or West Virginia, I have plenty of experience rooting for teams that are against teams more talented. You can't do that. And so I did not feel that was good. But then when Riley came out with that run in the second half, he was bottled up. He stayed on his feet. Yeah. He broke a couple tackles, then he stayed in bounds. He nearly went out of bounds by probably a few centimeters, but he stayed in bounds. And when he got that touchdown, it kind of set the tone. But don't forget, Clemson had 2 red zone turnovers, one of which was scooped up and taken back to the 30-yard line. Again, Clemson, definitely the better team, better talented team, but Duke had enough to be a good match and make Clemson pay for their mistakes tonight.
Lewis, we're looking at Duke's football schedule. It's up on the screen. Clemson, you defeated Clemson, you're 1-0. You play Lafayette, then you play Northwestern, then you play UConn at UConn. There's a very good chance, Lewis. A very good chance. UConn's going to be your toughest game at East Hartford. That you're going to be 4-0 as you line up against Notre Dame. You have a seat at the 50-yard line, my friend. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish versus the Duke Blue Devils. That's the week after Notre Dame plays the Ohio State Buckeyes. So you could be getting them coming off a loss or coming off a big win. It might be the spot to take Notre Dame down a week after that big game.
I thought about it a lot, but at the same time, I don't want to do what Clemson did today. We can't overlook obviously Lafayette is going to be a win, and you certainly believe Northwestern will be a win. Yeah. But you can't take it for granted. Duke's normally not done that, and I think they will take care of business, but there's a lot of attention coming on the program that hasn't been there. The university has plenty of attention. It's usually at the football program, at the basketball program just across the street at Cameron is usually what brings the national attention. But Duke's had success. In my senior year at Duke in '94, they made a bowl and had some success. And I think Duke will handle this because it's just a very insular campus. It's not like some places where the whole state's following you. They have very few fans, actually, in that area. Remember, you have North Carolina 8 miles away, Raleigh, NC State's 30 miles away. Duke has very few fans in that area. So they're in a perfect situation to really focus on themselves, focus on the team, not have a lot of outside distractions, and have a very solid season. Notre Dame could be a big one. It was going to be a big one anyway. It's always a big game when Notre Dame is coming to your campus, regardless of the records. But this could be really special. It could be Duke's one of, I believe, 6 schools not to have hosted college game day, 6 Power 5 schools. So Duke has a chance to do that, perhaps. But you got to take care of business the next 3 weeks and see how they react. I'm glad we have Lafayette next week because there will be a lot of attention that this program's not used to, and we'll see how they handle it. But at least they're playing a very weak opponent.
A lot of people in the chat are congratulating you, Lewis, just to let you know.
Well, I appreciate that. I just happened to see on Twitter you were on because I was obviously reading a lot of tweets, getting a lot of messages. And I'm the moderator of the largest Duke football group, Duke Football Fans. I started it. We had 65 followers 3 years ago, and now we have about 1,900. So in the last year, a lot of people have jumped on the bandwagon for Duke football, and
beautiful.
It's great to see. And so thank you very much, Greg. I saw you were on. I thought I'd call in, and let's go Duke. It's certainly, definitely and a wonderful and very interesting weekend of college football.
Beautiful. Thank you, Lewis. Thank you so much for calling. PATC legend, Lewis. Thank you, Mr. Blue Devil. That is why we do shows like this. That is why we do watch parties. That's why we talk about college football. Because of moments, events like this, you're always going to remember. It's just the way it is. Winning and losing, We talked about it. We talked about it.
Call from
Kansas State fan.
Kansas State fan, you are on the line. The floor is yours. What's going on?
Well, I just gotta say, college football hit its peak tonight. I mean, in this world of college football, where everybody's talking about consolidation and like the ultimate super conferences, it's great to see programs like Duke just completely bashing on several of these big programs. I mean, you look at several of these teams in the past with Duke and Kansas where they didn't have the amount of fan support or they weren't necessarily the biggest brands to compete at the highest level.
Yeah.
But we witnessed Duke absolutely annihilating Clemson tonight. I mean, they just took them out to the woodshed.
Yeah.
Especially in the fourth quarter. It was absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
But I heard your call with Lewis, and you're right. There's a legitimate chance that Duke heads into the game against Notre Dame 4-0. And it's a home game for Duke in Durham. But Notre Dame's going to be coming off of a game against Ohio State.
Yeah.
So there could be a potential hangover there. I mean, that's just it's crazy. I mean, we could be looking. I'm not saying that Duke's a playoff contender whatsoever, but in terms of those teams that could could sneak its way into the top 10. I mean, kind of similar to what we saw Kentucky in a few years ago when they were able to get into the top 10. It's very possible that Duke could likely end up in the top 10 sometime, maybe either prior to the Notre Dame game or after they beat the Irish, possibly either.
It could happen. It could happen.
It's very much.
Yeah. I mean, my beloved Minnesota Golden Gophers had a magical 2019 season. They finished 10th in the country. Nobody believed that could possibly happen. Minnesota. Mm-hmm. So Duke, you never know. A win like this could propel them. But again, Lewis says you got to take it one game at a time. But the storylines that are already brewing for 2023 after week one is incredible. The layers of storylines that is going on in football, college football, is amazing. We're going to have so much drama every single week.
And you can't, and I've always said this on my radio show, you can't take too much away from week one, considering that there's a lot of teams playing against FCS squads. Like K-State, I mean, for all that matter, they beat an FCS team. They looked pretty good, but they didn't reveal too much. Like, there was nothing really to take away. Like, we kind of expected a whole lot of things prior to the game, and pretty much we got what we saw. So both those type of teams that play the FCS opponents, like, there's nothing too earth-shattering. But the teams that just completely change the narrative are the ones that just pull the plug and just cause all the havoc in the world. And Duke is the perfect example for that tonight. Colorado on Saturday with Deion Sanders going into Fort Worth beating TCU. I mean, even in the everywhere else in the Power 5 you look. I mean, you had Texas State. They never beaten an FBS school in history, a Power 5 school in history. They come into Waco and beat Baylor. I mean, you also had Wyoming beating Texas Tech in overtime, Fresno State beating Purdue. It's stories like those that turn the college football world upside down, that just makes it so entertaining. Yeah. And I keep saying, it's like, all right, I mean, if conferences go to the super, if things go to the super conferences, then then what's the point of just like enjoying all the parity in the sport like we're seeing tonight and like we're seeing throughout the entire weekend?
Imagine this. Imagine this. It's not 2023. It's 2024, and this just happened. And now, if you're Lewis, if you're a Duke Blue Devil fan, now you can contemplate. You can at least dream about being one of the top 12 teams that make the college football playoffs. With a win like this, it could happen. To democratize the sport with a 12-team expanded playoff imagine what the Duke Blue Devil fans would be thinking, the tickets they'd be buying, the t-shirts they'd be acquiring, all that stuff that goes into it. Oh, I can't wait for next year. I love this year, don't get me wrong, but next year is even going to be more explosive, more storylines. It's going to be incredible.
I'll just point out two more things before I go.
Yep.
But, this is not just a massive win for Duke, but for several people who work in the ACC as well. Considering that you bring in 3 members on Friday, given the circumstances of Florida State and Clemson, they're kind of in the shoes of Oklahoma and Texas, where they're trying to go for the most amount of money or most amount of revenue, and they're just looking down at several of the schools, kind of like what Texas and Oklahoma did. And the Big 12 leadership recognized that once they decide to leave, and that's kind of what the ACC is recognizing as well. So you have a program like Duke, who is more of a basketball brand, kind of similar to Kansas. They come into they come into week 1 and absolutely beat the absolute crap out of Clemson. I'm just completely mind blown. It's not. I mean, I knew Duke was going to make this a very interesting game. I believe our quarterback came back.
Yeah.
They're very physical in the lines of scrimmage. Their coaches, they have a really good coach on the sideline. But I was not expecting for it to be this big of a rout. And I'm sure there's a lot of people in the ACC offices that are very happy to see the results, considering the amount of noise that Clemson and Florida State have been making throughout the entire offseason in regards to realignment.
Mm-hmm. All righty.
And then one more thing. In terms of the top 25, I'd probably have Clemson somewhere around the top 20. I mean, probably at number 20 at this point. I mean, it's one thing to lose to Duke, but it's a whole different story when your offense can't do anything. You force so many turnovers, and I'll give nothing anything away from Duke, but they weren't too disciplined the entire night. They had several false start penalties, offside penalties. That's a terrible loss for Clemson. I mean, I don't think they're even considered a top 10 program anymore. You probably have to move them down to around the 20 to the 25 range. I probably move TCU out of the top 25. Their defense just looks horrific.
I agree. Yep.
And then I'd probably have to put Duke and Colorado. I'm still a little bit hesitant on Colorado. Just because I don't know. I think after this weekend, if they're able to beat Nebraska, then I'll feel a little bit more comfortable. It's kind of between Colorado and UCLA in the top 25, but so it goes. But Greg, I'll let you get back to your phone calls. I appreciate you for having me on, and hope you have a good night. God
Got
bless.
it. You too. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Great phone call. Won't learn much about the Buckeyes quarterback until they play Notre Dame. Billy Tuesday. Man, Notre Dame now. They play the Buckeyes and then they play the Duke Blue Devils. A highly probable 4-0 Blue Devils. Man, it is so much fun here. The phone lines are open, 763-260-1333. You can talk about anything college football, but this is rapid reaction. The Duke Blue Devils with Riley Leonard take down the Clemson Tigers. Clemson, all preseason, we had the Clemson Tigers slipping. We said it over and over again. We believe the program is slipping. We couldn't believe the ACC media days when the ACC media poll came out and it had Clemson number 1 and Florida State number 2. I was shocked. I couldn't believe I thought it was, I kept seeing if it was 2022 media poll. But you saw Florida State, what they did to LSU. You saw what happened tonight. Clemson, big-time athletes in the front defensive line. The secondary is once again questionable. Klubnik did not throw a good ball tonight. Maybe he's nicked up, maybe he's injured, but the ball he threw, forget about Clemson receivers not being able to get separation down the field. The ball, just look at the ball that he threw. Look at Riley Leonard's ball that he threw. Completely different levels of skill level when it comes to throwing the football. And Riley Leonard, he could make the plays with his feet like we talked about. Again, there was about a month ago, me and Lewis had a phone call back and forth, and I said, Lewis, I'm sorry. I apologize, Lewis. I apologize. I'm thinking about taking Duke plus 12.5. Greg the Cooler is going to freeze the Duke Blue Devils. Lewis, as a gentleman, said that's okay. You know, he didn't yell at me. I even said in the phone call, I said, Lewis, you're going to yell at me, but I'm thinking about taking the Duke Blue Devils. The Duke Blue Devils overcome Clemson. They overcame me in my prediction because it seems like when I predict something, it goes the other way against the spread. Although this week I did 5. We went 5-3. Pretty good. Pretty good. We're getting there. We are getting there. Wow. So, I think Greg the Luke Warmer, yeah. I think we're going to close it up for tonight. This was a rapid reaction show. These shows are not going to be as long as our typical live show. We want to thank you all for coming in. Thank you for your phone calls, for your donations. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. And then share the video with your family and friends. Tomorrow, we're going to be doing the AP poll rapid reaction. We're going to be doing some episodes, probably a live show later in the evening, Tuesday night, as we discuss who we're going to take for week 2 against the spread. I have momentum. I am going from Greg the Cooler to Greg the Heater. So we'll see what happens. I've got to do a deep analysis. I got to do a deep dive. And we'll see what I come up with. Congratulations to Duke, Mike Elko, Riley Leonard, to Lewis, the PATC legend, the Duke Blue Devils, alumni, faculty, students, fan base. Man, it was a well-deserved victory as the Duke Blue Devils shock the college football world and take down the Clemson Tigers. This was just week 1. This was only week 1. Wow. Stick with us here at Peek Around the Corner. Stick with us here as we cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. Until next time. From all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.